And for more on this, we have journalist Yousef Mawry. He's joining us live from the Yemeni capital, Sana'a. Hi, Mr. Mawry. I'll first begin with my question, which is rather overarching in nature, regarding the Houthi group since the war began between Israel and Hamas. Why do you think the Houthis have waded in this war?
Well, according to the leader of Ansar Allah, the Houthis, they feel it is a moral and religious obligation to protect and save the lives of Palestinians because they believe what is happening in the Gaza Strip is pure genocide. It's pure mass murder, and it is collective punishment which is being waged on innocent people. Over 20,000 innocent Palestinians have been killed due to the Israeli aggression. And let's not forget the Palestinian resistance fighters, Hamas. They're considered to be part of the Axis of resistance, which, the axis of resistance, it includes countries like Iran, Syria, Yemen, the Palestinian resistance factions in the Gaza Strip, and Lebanon's Hezbollah. So if any of these groups or if any of these nations are attacked by external forces, it becomes the obligation of nations within the axis of resistance to act to defend one another. However, in Palestinians' case, what is happening is genocide. And according to Ansar Allah, the Houthis, they believe it is not just the obligation of Muslims or the obligation of Arabs in the region. They feel it is the obligation of the international community and people worldwide to bring an end to this genocide and this bloodshed that is taking place on a daily basis. So that's the main reason why the Yemeni army, backed by the Houthis, Ansar Allah, decided to act. And this is the main reason why they are attacking Israeli-linked ships in the Red Sea. It's sort of a measure and a procedure to put pressure on the U.S. and to put pressure on the Israeli government to bring an end to the genocide immediately.
And Yousef, do you think that the Houthis have the wherewithal, that is, do they have the arsenal to take on Israel in this war? Now, US and analysts believe it to be some sort of support from Iran. What are your comments on this?
Well, let's not forget, the Houthis, Ansar Allah, they took on 14 of the strongest nations in the region from 2015 all the way until 2022. This was the coalition led by the Saudi-led coalition, which waged a bombardment campaign all across Yemen and bombed every single province in the country. And they also imposed a strangling blockade on Yemen, which stirred the country into becoming the world's worst humanitarian crisis. This was a war that lasted for 8 years, whereby U.S.-backed Saudi Arabia, the UAE, countries like Sudan, and other Arab nations in the region, they were backed by the U.S. and backed by the British government to wage war on the Houthis, to wage war on Ansar Allah, with the primary goal of restoring the Hadi-backed government into power. However, the Houthis, Ansar Allah, they were actually victorious. They actually got stronger within the 8 years of war and chaos and destruction that occurred in Yemen. They also managed to develop and manufacture domestically ballistic missiles and unmanned drones, and also naval mines and naval submarines, remote-controlled submarines. So I think, to answer your question, the Ansar Allah Houthis, they do have the military capability to declare war on Israel. And in fact, they have already declared war, an open war on Israel. Yemen is the only country that declared an open war against the Israeli regime. And they would like nothing more. This is according to the Houthis. They would like nothing more than to be in a full-scale conflict with Israel, because they do have the military capability, as they have proven in recent past. They do have ballistic missiles and cruise missiles that are able to hit areas in Israel, as we have seen unfold over the past month. And they do have a capable and formidable naval force that's able to capture and seize Israeli ships.
Yousef, I would like you to, you pointed out, so you said about full scale, Houthis wouldn't, they would be interested in taking the full scale conflict. Now, I want you to tell me about this observable climb down that we have seen from the Houthis from December 9th, which is when they said that they would target all ships operating in the Red Sea, and now they have announced that it's only ships dealing with Israeli companies. What do you think are the reasons for this climb down?
Well, the Houthi leader, the Ansarullah leader, Sayyid Abdul Malik al-Houthi, the Ansarullah government, they never mentioned that they would target all the oil ships in the Red Sea. I think what they mentioned and what they stated specifically was that the only ships that will be targeted are the ones associated with the Israeli government and Israeli businessmen. And I think they made it clear and went out of their way to make it clear to the world that no other ship associated with any other nation, including the U.S., including the U.S. government, would be targeted in the Red Sea. If we listen to the a spokesperson for Yemen's military forces, what he mentioned a couple of days ago was that it is the U.S., it is these Western powers who are forming this naval coalition force that are turning the Red Sea into a military battleground, that are turning it into a place of conflict which is ready to fuel and cause and spread fire across the region. And as you mentioned, they called it, the U.S. turning it into an arena ablaze with fire. And this is because of the military manifestations, the military reinforcements, not of the Ansarullah, the Houthis, but because of the military reinforcements, military activities that are being committed by the U.S. and its coalition task force. A couple of days ago, or yesterday actually, the U.S. actually launched a couple of missiles in the direction of a ship that sailed from the port of Russia, and it was making its way towards the coast of India. And that was a ship that was carrying oil. It was a merchant ship. It was targeted, and because of the military manifestations that exist in the Red Sea.
Yes,
so
but
in order for the situation
in the light of recent climb down that we have observed, we can only wait and watch what happens next. But as we are running short on time, Yousef, I'll have to wind this up right now. And thank you so much for joining us and giving us those insights.
Thank you.